cats and kittens and furry muffins and all the other animals out there. Welcome to Problem Solve Her podcast. I am your co-host, Chloe, along with my girl,
Dagmar.
and one of our regular kind of semi-third co-hosts, Jeff Nelson's in the house from Palm Beach Dog Academy. Jeff's back again. Guess who's back?
Good to be back.
Back again. I know I can't sing, but I want to pretend on here that I'm in the choir. So guys, before we get started, you can find Jeff on Instagram, Mutts and Jeff. You can find him. He's on TikTok. I made him go on TikTok. Woo! Mastery of Dogs, right? Did I say it right?
Mastery of dog training.
Yep, Mastery of Dog Training on the TikTok.
I just said that. I'm sorry. Dog training mastery.
Dog Training Mastery.
Yeah,
I said
that's
it backwards. You can find Jeff there on TikTok and Mutts and Jeff on Instagram. You can find us on Problem Solve Her on Instagram and YouTube, and the Chutzpah Girl on TikTok, ProblemSolvHer.com, no E and all plan words. And guys, guess what? The holidays are here. We just had Thanksgiving, and Christmas is coming up, in Hanukkah for those that celebrate that too. Thank you very much. And New Year's Eve. So there's a lot going on with pets and people and all these things, right, Dagmar?
Absolutely. Yes, right.
Thank God Kitty's doing better.
Thank God.
So, Dagmar, what do you think before we ask Jeff all these questions? Because let's pretend Jeff's not here for a moment, and you and I, in our minds, what we think we should be doing with our pets, with all of your kitties, and what I should be doing with Oliver. What do you think is the best thing during the holidays as non-dog master dog trainers? Because we're obviously not. What do you think is important for us? And I'm curious to hear what Jeff thinks that we think we know or we don't know.
So for me, most important thing as a helicopter mom would be preparation. I don't want to be caught in the middle of fireworks, in the middle of loud noises, in the middle of impatient, nervous, stressed out people, and then deal with the current math and the aftermath with my little ones. And I think that the biggest challenge, what I'm seeing is that it's like 50-50 that humans think pets are affected by fireworks and by the holidays and loud noises, or they think, they're not affected. They can't handle that. So that would be something really I would like to know more from Jeff about. Is that true or not, right? Because you can Google everything and now you can chat engine anything. But
preparation is certainly the key.
Right. What you read, is it experience? Is it something you can trust?
Probably. I go with Jeff. For me, and I know with Dagmar, we and I talk about this a lot, Jeff, you can chime in with this, with AI. I think it's good for certain things. I'm not a huge AI person. I like to go directly to the source. So for me, I would want to know what Jeff has to say instead of just Googling it. But Dagmar, you made a very good point, because Oliver, during 4th of July, Jeff, I thought the fireworks were done and he had to go out. And we went back onto the beach because they're not allowed past 10:30. And it was like 11:05 and they went off. And when I tell you, like, his body shook like a volcano just went off or an earthquake, and jumped in my arms like a cheetah from across the road and was like shaking for hours. So I think they are affected. I believe in preparing, like you said, but I also believe in putting your pets in situations to avoid certain situations so that doesn't happen. So Jeff, what is your take?
What Dagmar said is absolutely true. Preparation is very important. Now, we call it proactive versus reactive. You want to do it before you're in that situation where you've already shown your pet exactly what you want them doing when these type of things happen. So an example of that would be, I know this sounds kind of funny, but a dog, to prepare them for fireworks, you could put on a YouTube video of a fireworks display. And while that's going on, use rewards and ignoring bad behavior and reward them when they're being calm and confident. And we call that behavior shaping. And 3-4 repetitions down the line, you put on that YouTube video and your dog's looking at you going, where's my reward? And they're just ignoring the fireworks. So that would be a good way to talk about how you would prepare for the real thing. Now, no dog's going to be fooled into thinking a video is the same as real life fireworks going off, but at least you've taken some time to show your dog, hey, when this happens, the calmer you are, the more attention you're going to get, the more positive reinforcement. And it goes a long way. So yeah, that type of preparation, that type of proactive setup dog training is what we call it, is when the dog's like, oh, I have a pretty firm understanding of what's expected of me.
I love that, because preparing them to be calm and to be in environments, because you always say this, it's more the, I hate saying the owner, for me it's the parents of these animals, right? Because if they're stressed or they're coming with anxiety, then it goes, it's like children, right? It's the same thing. So then they feel that energy. So if, let's say you are somewhere in fireworks, where you're like, oh my God, hold on, I gotta go. And like you're already acting like that, then they're like 10 times, more reactive. I had something, this is kind of a correlation, but it has to do with keeping calm yourself. So on Sunday, I was walking Oliver, as in yesterday, and I saw this German Shepherd, right? Like down the road, about 50 feet away, no collar, no leash, nothing. And the parents are sitting there, and the two daughters are on the scooter circling around, and no one's paying attention to this dog. He looks at Oliver, right? And I'm like, okay, I had to think really fast. If I yell, hey, put your dog on the leash, that dog's already down, coming to
Right.
me, right? Knows I'm going to be nervous. Two, I have to pick up Oliver, but very calmly, so that if he does come down, I'm already holding him, and I'm just going to keep walking and pretend I don't see the dog, or I turn around and walk the other way. But then I could be in trouble because the dog could come, right?
Right.
So I see the dog getting ready to jet. I mean, like it's on the front legs, right? He's looking at the parents. He's like, oh my God, look at that little dog, this opportunity, right? So
Terrifying.
I very quickly but calmly pick Oliver up. He's already shaking as I'm holding, because he sees this dog. He knows what's
Right.
about to go down, right? Actually, it might have been a Malinois. I'm not sure, because sometimes I get them confused. Because until you see them up close, it's kind of hard to differentiate. I'm sure you know right away, but I didn't. So I picked him up, and he's shaking, and the dog's jetting now. I clip the corner very slowly. I don't look down at the dog. I pretend the dog's not even there. Okay. And I'm so calm, Jeff. I don't know how I did this so calmly, because I knew that dog was ready. Like,
Right.
he was not looking to hang out. Okay. And all of a sudden I feel it graze my leg. I feel like the hair, the coat of the dog on my leg. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh shit. And then I hear the little girl go, whatever the dog's name was. And then they start freaking out. And then the dog turns around and boom, went back. But I was really proud of myself that I handled it that way. I mean, is there anything else I could have done differently, or would you have suggested, or?
To me, Chloe, you said the magic words. You literally want to pretend as if it's not happening. And your heart could be racing a million miles an hour, but you want the dog that's coming at you guys to see two messages in your body language, which is this is not a threat and they're not afraid. At the same time, you have to portray both those messages, and pretending like it's not happening is the ideal way to do that. So it sounds to me like you handled it like a professional. Well done. No, you handled that one situation like a
I
professional.
But listen, it's like you said. I mean, when I felt him, the coat graze my foot, I knew that if I like shook or showed any sense of fear, because I know bees and dogs smell fear the most, then he could have tried to jump up, try to pull Oliver down, whatever it was.
And let me ask you, when you watch like these type of things, maybe on a YouTube video, like people tend to really freak out. And I don't mean a little bit. I mean
A
like,
lot.
get your dog. They're screaming
That's
and
why I didn't want to say anything like, excuse me, put the dog on the leash. He would have been there faster than I could have picked Oliver up. That's why I didn't say anything.
yeah,
But people should keep their dogs on leashes. That's a perfect example.
I agree with that. Unless you have some perfectly trained dog that you have completely in a heel position or paying attention to you, you should never have them off leash in public.
That dog needs you. I should have given them your card, because the way that dog was looking to see that the parents weren't paying attention, and that it was his chance, and it was a male. I knew it was a male right away by the
Yep.
posture, everything. And he saw his opening. That's not a trained dog. He got down there in 3 seconds. I'm not joking. By the time I picked Oliver up, he was right.
Yeah, bolting in that scenario is very dangerous, and it creates a type of situation that could have turned very bad very quick. So, like I said, well done. You averted a problem.
Thank you. I'm actually I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of proud of myself. I'm gonna dust my soldiers off.
There you go.
So, Jeff, can you
I
explain
have a
a
question.
scenario? Sorry, go ahead.
Is it a bad idea to take your doggy with you to the fireworks if you don't want to leave him at home, but you want to like go to the fireworks?
It would be a bad idea to hope for the best if you don't know how your dog's going to react in that scenario. Like you said earlier, some dogs are absolutely unaffected by it. And some dogs are, in a spectrum of a little bit concerned to all the way to they get terrified and would take off and never come back. Right? There's a whole spectrum of possibilities there. So I would never take a dog to a fireworks display unless I'd seen that they'd been in that scenario and not been scared. You can test them out with loud noises all the time. You can take a loud noise, like let's say a metal dog bowl, and throw it on the ground. And if you have a dog that hears that and runs full out in total fear, that is an unlikely candidate to be able to handle fireworks. If you have a dog that becomes aggressive towards that sound, that's a dog that's probably not going to handle fireworks. But if they look mildly curious, that's really kind of what you're looking for.
Great.
Curiosity without fear. Yeah, and I was talking about a good test you can run where you take some sort of a loud noise. I always take like a metal dog bowl and I throw it on the ground, and I want to see the dog's reaction to that type of noise. Some dogs get very fearful and run away, and like I said, that wouldn't be a good candidate for any kind of fireworks. Some dogs actually become aggressive and start barking and going after it. You wouldn't want to take that dog to anything with loud noises. But what you want is a dog who's mildly curious about where the noise came from. They just look at it, and even a tiny bit of a startle wouldn't be anything I'd be too worried about, as long as it's not really scared. You don't want a dog that hears that noise and is really scared and then take them to a fireworks display. They would do poorly.
Yeah. So is that how you can desensitize sensor?
It's one of the ways. Once you have some good obedience, you can then create the same noise. So imagine the dog that does run really fast in fear, but now I teach that dog to do a simple sit stay, and then I drop it, and now the dog holds the sit stay. You've now desensitized them to the noise. But if they break it and run away, then they're not getting any better. So that's how we do it. And you can absolutely get dogs better in those scenarios. I do it all the time.
Makes sense. Is there a dog breed who is more scared of the fireworks than others?
There's a like the herding breeds tend to have issues with noises for whatever reason. They can be high strung because of what they were bred to do. You know, the herding, when I say herding dogs, the border collies and the Aussie shepherds and the blue heelers and all those type of dogs, they can be a little high strung, and I've seen tendencies for them to be fearful in those scenarios.
Did you say the
Same
border
as lots
collie
of
as
people
well?
around the holidays. They tend to try to herd the people, right? Nip at their ankles, keep everyone in the same room. So that's why it's important to have those dogs well trained.
Wow. I'm surprised that, and I just learned something new that you said the border collie, because that's supposed to be the most intelligent breed of any dog. So you would think that they, in those types of scenarios, would be able to very quickly, maybe because their senses are so heightened. Is that it?
Yeah, well, it has nothing to do with their intelligence. They're able to learn things very quickly. But, I don't know about you, but some of the smartest people I've ever known are some of the most high strung people I've ever known.
Facts.
A lot of times it
Facts.
goes hand in hand. And so
True.
when it comes to their intelligence, they've got all the intelligence in the world, but they can feel like I have all this energy. I have a strong desire to do a job that I've never really been given. So they find things to do. And a lot of times it's excessive barking and hurting people. And I don't mean hurting them. I mean hurting them, like nipping at their heels. And
Mhm.
so that's very common for that breed of dogs, although they're very intelligent.
Interesting. That makes sense. Think of all the humans we know that are extremely intelligent, but they're stubborn in some areas, or they're very high strung, or they're super type A.
Genius and madness are very closely related
Oh yeah,
sometimes.
I think they go hand in hand. It's like a
Mhm.
genius madness sandwich. Yeah, 100%. What about, I mean, I know this is similar, but I'd like to know this. What about when thunder? Because a lot of dogs, let's say, and we all live here in South, in Florida, and there's a lot of nights where there's a lot of thunder, and they're shaking in their boots, they're hiding under the bed, they don't want to go out. Is there something similar for
Sure.
that?
And it's like the advice I have for clients, like when the dog starts to hear the thunder, they will find a place to hide. They'll go under the bed, and it can get very difficult to get them to come out. And what you really need them to do is to engage. So you keep a leash. I have my clients keep their dogs on a leash. Let's say the dog goes under the bed, they grab the leash, ask them nicely to come, bring them out. Basically, we're saying the same things we would say to our children. It's thunder. It's not going to kill you. Learn to face your fears and nothing bad will happen. And we're desensitizing the dogs to that as well.
So put the leash on as soon as you hear the first thunder. Immediately put the leash on and the harness so that you already have the control to kind of minimize the
That's right.
situation. Okay.
When you put a leash on a dog, you have so much more control than when you don't have a leash on a dog. And they learn that very quickly. So I ask my clients to keep their dogs on a leash with consistency for a time. And then the dog won't need the leash anymore once the habits have been cemented. But yeah, the more you have a dog with these type of issues on a leash, the easier it is to work with them, for sure.
Jeff, what are
Like,
some holiday and firework boo-boos you did in the past you learned from?
Well, it's been a long while since I would have made mistakes like this, but I'll tell you the most common that would have happened to pretty much anyone is when you have a dog who's acting fearful and we love them so much, is the way people tend to make them feel better is lots of affection, right? Talking a soothing vote, nice petting, and tell them I'm here, dad's here, mom's here, don't worry. And what you're really doing is you're positively reinforcing a fearful dog, and that's not the way to get them better. So that's a very common mistake. Then there's speaking like you're now stressed out because your dog's stressed out, and then your tone could match that, and you'll make them more nervous. So calm tones of voice, not getting frustrated, understanding what the dog's going through. So you're not sounding annoyed with them when you tell them to do what you want them to do. There's so many ways to make mistakes on this. And in my mind, there's not that many ways to do it properly. So these are things I talk to my clients about often.
Yeah. What comes to my mind immediately, including we talk about it a lot and we love talking about it. Every mistake is an opportunity to grow, right?
Yes.
Like instead of blaming yourself for trying something new or for not thinking ahead or not being properly prepared, for me with my kitties, it really helps me to first recognize that I'm willing to grow and I'm willing to learn and I'm willing to do new things. And then I forgive myself that I'm not the perfect helicopter mom. I think I am most of the time. Then I really evaluate the situation from an eagle eye perspective. What happened? Why did it happen? What was the cause? And how can I do better in the future?
In the
Is this
future.
something you would?
Dagmar, you're forgetting one thing you always say too. What a pleasure.
No, I said that so much with my diabetes kitty now. I don't
You
want to
can't say
think
it
about it
anymore.
right now because
You
I'm
can't
good
say it
right
anymore.
now. I'm good right
Right.
now with what a pleasure. Dear God, I'm good with
You're
what a
all
pleasure.
pleasured out.
I'm pleasured out. I'm
I hear
really
you.
good. Like I'm growing, I'm learning. I do not need a new pleasure right now.
Amen, sister.
Yes.
Okay, coming back to the question, how do you see that from a dog, mom or dad perspective when they're getting into the situation where they realize they're unprepared, they're failing, or they feel bad that they reacted in this way, overreacted, got anxious, got nervous, got stressed out? What would you recommend to them?
Well, I'm always like you said, you have to give yourself grace because we all make mistakes and they're all opportunities to learn. And what you really don't want to do is think too far into the past or the future. So you're not upset about how you made a mistake or worried about what you might do in the future. Everything's in the present. And that's the beauty of animals, right? They're not spending a lot of time worrying about the future and stressing about the past. They are just right there in the moment with you. I teach people through obedience training is we're training you to always speak in the same tone regardless of how you feel. And that's really what it is, if I'm having the best day of my life or the worst day of my life, you're not going to hear a difference in how I communicate with my dogs. It's always sounding the same. And that is by not blaming yourself for the mistakes you've made. We all make the mistakes. You get all these opportunities to rectify them through practice and repetition and consistency. So this is a talk I have with people constantly because they're upset with themselves for mistakes that they've made and things that they get done in the past. And you'll see them talking and they're putting their head to their hands and they're looking upset. And what I'm teaching them is even though you're talking about the past, your dog's seeing your body language in the present. Right. So everything's when you say a command, when you say their name, when you're communicating, it's always going to sound exactly the same, except for praise, right? Praise can always change it up. Good boy, good boy. You can do that stuff. But a command's got to sound the same. Your verbal communication has to sound the same. And when you're trained to do that, dogs feel very comfortable around you. I can't speak as much to cats. I have very little experience. I'm certainly no cat trainer. But I know with dogs, it makes all the difference in the world is, wow, mom's stressed out or dad's stressed out, but they never change how they communicate with me. So I can't even tell. It gives them confidence and it makes them feel safe when they're with you.
Yeah, makes total sense. So here is how I do it with my kitties. When I'm really stressed out, my diabetes kitty, That was something else. And first I felt really overwhelmed and like helpless, right? Because my first diabetes kitty, no clue. And what I figured out is I can fake it till I make it. So if I really felt stressed out and really anxious, especially when I had to give him the insulin needles and I'm scared of needles, I had to do deep breathing to get to the point that I have a regulated nervous system, right? To be able. But then I said, Maxie, my God, you do such a great job when he sits there and has to be still that I can do the needles.
Yes.
Sit next to him and like normally he's a fatty. He will eat whatever. And right now he's not. Like right now, if I give him food, I have to sit next to him, like sometimes for half an hour to stimulate him to eat right now.
Yes.
So I'm Maxie, you're Superman. Oh my God, look at you.
So proud of you.
Pretty
Yes.
boy. And how well you're eating. No matter if I think, oh my God, I'm already 15 minutes in this thing. So fake it till you make it really helped me because with the blood sugar, I can measure it. I really can measure it if I speak calming and exciting with him. And when I pet him, stimulate,
Right.
I guess it stimulates him. I can see that the blood sugar, which right now he's very low, I can raise the blood sugar by 20 or 30 if I really
Wow.
consciously do that, but it takes everything out of me, right? But you know what? It's smart to do. We should do that in general when you feel overwhelmed or stressed with humans too, instead of fighting or reacting. If you can stay within and you say, you know what? Thank you. I really appreciate it. Instead of getting upset or whatever, which normally doesn't change anything.
Amen to that.
So it's very interesting what you said. And this is how it works for me with the kitties. But I totally can see that with the doggies too. That
Yeah. And people do tend to talk to their dogs a lot. Right? It's just part of our relationship with
I
them.
talk
We're
to
very
Oliver all
verbal.
day.
Yeah. And I've no problem with anyone doing that unless it is I'm stressed, so I'm going to stress you out. I'm angry, so I'm going to make you upset. Those type of things. I'm constantly teaching clients how to keep their tone on an even keel and always say in the same tone, regardless of situation. And just that alone improves like a dog's confidence and improves their relationship immediately. I'll get calls from people a week later and say, wow, in this situation, my dog's already much more confident because of the way I'm communicating.
you could offer anger management classes for humans who have dogs.
Yeah, I probably could.
Yeah, those
I
that
do
are
get a lot
willing,
of
those
calls
that are
from people. Yes, right. Yes. We're all in different stages of that. But I get tons of calls from people who are they have no choice but to admit whatever it is they're dealing with their dog, it's affecting their family. It's affecting the entire energy of their home. And when you straighten those things out, everything improves very quickly. And it's real fun to watch.
We would like to take a moment in this episode to thank our sponsors. Palm Beach Dog Academy is located right here in the heart of sunny South Florida. Founded by Jeff Nelson, who did his training at the Harvard of Dog Training Academies at the Tom Rose School in Missouri. I can say firsthand that Jeff not only has the credentials and the experience, he knows how to train dogs properly. He trained my beloved Oscar, our furry favorite guy who lived till 19 years of age. For more information about Jeff's packages and his academy, please visit palmbeachdogacademy.com.
question what about the past for dogs, because I always wanted to know this. Obviously they can't look in the future, they don't even understand what that means. They're in the present, and that's what I love. They're here in the moment. But if certain things and behaviors and patterns that they do from the past and they know that you don't like it and they continue to do it, that leads me to believe that they do have a memory for certain things that happen, right? So let's say I'm really stressed out and I'm walking Oliver and he just wants to stop and sniff every single and pee on everything and say hi to every single dog. And I'm like, come on, we're in a rush, we got to go. And he like stops for a second, like, no, I want to hang out. Does he? And I'm like, now, it's very rare that I get loud with him, but does he remember those things? Like, oh, mom doesn't when I hear that tone, I know what this means? Or is it like there's no memory of that, that was the past? They're not consciously aware.
Look, they have great memories, right? I have clients where I won't see their dogs for years. I mean, it's been 4 years and the dog recognizes me instantly. So anyone who says they don't have any memory, they're not understanding. But what they don't generally do is go backwards into time and go, you're treating me in a specific way now for what I did in the past. They don't make those
That's
connections.
my question. They can't
Yeah.
differentiate. Okay, got it.
It's, yeah,
Interesting.
generally their brain chemistry doesn't allow them to go back an hour in time and go, oh, because I peed an hour ago, you're angry at me now. So what happens to those people, I really love talking about this because anyone who hears this, they'll come in and they'll see their dog looking nervous and they'll go, oh, he must have done something wrong. And they see the pee on the floor. But what the dog is associated is the getting into trouble when you come home. So the whole time you're gone, he peed, he feels fine. And then you come home and then ears back, I'm so sorry. People tend to think that's guilt. It's not. It's a dog going, please don't be mad at me. Right. And so you really have about 2 seconds between their action and your reaction for them to be able to kind of connect those two events. That's for rewards and that's for corrections. So you can't ever go, I'm going to teach you not to do the thing you did 5 minutes ago. That's the
Right. So when
thing people
people
have a
pull
hard
it
time.
over, right, and you get home, you're like, what is this? Did you eat this shoe? Look what you did while I was gone. They're like, I don't even know what you're talking about. That was like 20
That's it.
minutes ago.
That's it. I see it all the time. And they go, no, but you should have seen how guilty he looked when I walked in the door. And I'm
You're like,
like,
that's
no,
not
that's
guilt.
not it.
No.
Yeah. No, it's
Yeah,
submission. It's a dog trying to manipulate their environment with body language. But dogs are so smart, right? Remember, we talk about training service dogs and teaching them to walk blind people across the street. There's no dog who can't learn that it's bad to pee in the house, but that is a person who's being inconsistent in teaching it, right?
here's how it works
That,
with the kitties, right?
yeah,
When I come
exactly.
home, when I come home and I see something, I only have to say, who did that? They're all gone. All of them are gone. Because
Nothing to do with that. Thank you.
it's not the guilt. It's like, Emma is not in a good mood.
Not the energy they want, right? Yes.
Oliver
Well, at least
doesn't
they don't
go
rat on each
anywhere in
other.
my house. That's the one thing he's good at. He will not go one or two in my house. He knows better than that. He will scratch at
That
that
because that was a
door.
top.
Nope,
Yeah.
not
That was
happening.
probably one of your top priorities, and you were serious about teaching it. And clearly, Oliver's very smart, so you got it taught.
Yeah, but he has other things he needs to work on. But that's a huge thing. I have like my neighbors this morning. She's like, if my dog pees on my couch one more time, I'm like, he's 2.5. I'm like, what's going on here? If that was happening in I mean, can you imagine that? You wake up in the morning, then you have to take the whole thing off, then you have to wash it again, then you have to spray, but beep the butt. It's like, no,
And people
nobody
call
wants
me
that.
with such levels of frustration. I can't begin to tell you, they just can't stand the fact that it's happening. And it's something you can straighten out with any dog within 2 weeks if done properly.
That's amazing. Within 2 weeks, that's amazing.
Never
Probably
met a
less.
dog that I brought here to my board and trains that couldn't figure it out within 2 weeks. Like it's
That's
just
the that's a life changer because at the end, the life quality for the humans, for the dog mom and dad, and for the doggies, if you can increase that within 2 weeks, that's worth any money. I mean,
that's
because
right. And then the people would have to stay on the same exact type of routine and schedule and program because the dog's already gotten away with it at their house. So they'd have to follow everything to the letter. But if they did, it would be no problem. And what that really is you can't miss the accidents. You can't, be in one room while the dog's peeing in another room and teach, right? You have to be there for 2 weeks, rewarding the good behavior, correcting the bad behavior. And there has to be a certain level of motivation in that where the dog's like, well, if I pee outside, mom's treating me like I did something very amazing and all sorts of love and affection. But if I pee inside, she corrected me in a way that I did not like. And there's no third option on the menu, meaning the dog can't sneak away and pee behind the couch while you're
right,
watching TV.
right,
You can't offer that option
right,
up for at least 2 weeks.
right. How do you do that in your board and train in the night when you're sleeping?
Well,
They're
they're all
not
crated.
trying
I
to
mean,
pee in the night.
crate training is everything. So whenever my eyes aren't on a dog that I'm working with, like when I don't have them tethered to me or watching them, I don't even mean in the same room. I mean eyes on every second. They get crated. So they get trained, they get played with, they go pee, they go poop, and then after all of that, they go in a crate. I go do other dogs, and it's that consistent the whole time they're here. Meaning They jump on my child, I'm there to correct them. They grab my sneaker, I'm there to correct them. They
So
don't jump on my daughter, I'm there to reward them. They grab a dog toy, I'm there to reward them. It's 100% consistent. I can't miss anything. And, when I explain that to my clients, they'll tell me, well, that doesn't sound realistic. Anything's realistic if it only has to be for 2 or 3 weeks so that you get 15 years of perfection. You can't really be inconsistent and expect that the dog's going to do any better than you are. I always tell people your dog's going to be just as consistent as you are.
right,
If
but
you're
Jeff,
70% consistent, then they're going to be 70% consistent. So we're going for 100. You'll love what happens when you go outside. You're not going to like at all what happens when you go inside.
right, but
Also,
consistency is the key with everything in life. It's the same if you want to lose weight. If you want to become healthier, you have to have rituals. And most of the time, you have to have that at specific times. You cannot overeat and then not eating and think that will balance it out. I'm sorry, Chloe. I just thought it's so interesting because it's not just with doggies. Like, how is your structure in life? I mean,
Right.
absolutely. But going back to what Jeff was saying, and I want people that are listening and watching this to understand, though, it takes a master dog trainer, which Jeff is. And I don't know the percentage, but I want to say I bet 90% of dog trainers in this country, 90% are not master dog trainers. So the guys, the newer guys, and we're not hating on anyone, and that there's plenty of dog trainers, but the difference between you and someone else is they cannot train a dog in 10 to 14 days to stop peeing on the couch. That is a fact. They can't do that and you can. And that's only because you are so disciplined and I know this because I've known you from growing up. You're a very patient person and you have the experience and the training because you went to the Harvard of dog training schools, basically, right? In Missouri. And that is the difference between you and someone else who maybe is, 2 or 3 years in. And I think that people need to understand that because what you're doing is you're teaching, like you said, 15 years in 2 weeks to a client. That is massive. You can't even put a price tag on that because, like you said, it changes people's lives. It takes away the chaos in the house and it creates a more vibrant and positive energy in the home, I would think.
I totally agree with you. I always picture a world where people's dogs are doing all the good behaviors that they love, and not doing any of those annoying, frustrating, or honestly dangerous behaviors that some dogs do. And then I picture just a better world for all of us. Not to not to be overstating what it is, but I really believe that if dogs just had an understanding of beautiful leash walking, listen to basic commands, no more reactivity or aggression or fear or anxiety, you just see happier people everywhere, happier families. I know I feel great when I watch someone walk down the street with their dog totally under control. My problem is that it's too rare, right?
I know.
It's very rare where
It
you
is
see a
rare.
dog that's loose leash, paying attention. It is hard to achieve because, hey, the dog pulls to the neighbor. You like to let the neighbor pet the dog, but then you don't like it when they pull in another situation, right? There's inconsistencies there.
Speaking of
That's
that,
really what I do is I help people become consistent.
that's the key. And I love that you just said that because I want to know your take on this because I think it's dangerous. I live in a neighborhood where there's a lot of dogs, as you know. I want to say I live in a building, there's 500 units, at least 60% have dogs. 60. I'm going to say I
Wow.
can't wrap my head around people on their phone while they're walking their dog because they are not paying attention to the dog or anything else that's going on around them. So when I come back and some dagwar could say, "Oh, I just called you," or this one say, "I just texted you." I called you, or my mom could say, "I called you 3 times. It's been a half an hour." I'm walking Oliver. My phone is not even in my possession because I don't want to get a call and he does not. He sees a dog, a hot little, sexy Maltipoo across the street, and he's going to try to jet and want to go talk to her because I have him on a tight leash when I walk around other dogs and I'm paying attention. Isn't that dangerous for people to be on their phone?
It would be dangerous for anyone whose dog's not trained like mine, right? For sure. If there is a
Right, which is
chance
most
you'd be on the
dogs.
phone not paying attention. Yeah. I mean, I'm happy to have phone conversations and walk my dog at the same time because I've done the training that ensures he's not going to see something and bolt. He's not going to be pulling and reacting. He's going to walk calmly next to me. But you're right. If you don't have that dog, and most people do not, you need to pay attention. It can be very dangerous. I've seen,
I'm even talking
I don't
about
know if I
cars
told you,
coming and
but
the
I
car's
was
not paying
training.
attention. What if the car is
That's
coming?
right.
People don't
Right.
stop at stop signs. They just don't. Or another dog is coming and you're not paying attention and it comes up behind you
Yep.
or yeah.
I've had clients who've been knocked unconscious by their dogs by not paying attention, ripped to the ground. I had a 210-pound St. Bernard named Trump that this lady woke up a day later in the hospital in a coma. Like she was in a coma for 24 hours. She hit her head on one of those yellow speed bumps. And her dog weighed a good 60 pounds more than she did, right? So she was, I think, if I remember correctly, she was on the phone and her St. Bernard puppy, he's like a year and a half. He weighs 210 pounds. He just bolts and she wakes up in the hospital, right? So
Wow.
that's a very extreme case, but it kind of
But it
illustrates
can
our point.
happen.
Yeah,
I love St.
it can
Bernards. My
happen.
neighbor had 2 St. Bernards that weighed 400 pounds total that lived next door to me. And the whole neighborhood would stop. It would be like a
Right.
showstopper. Have you ever seen one, Dagmar? A big St. Bernard that size? They're so beautiful.
Beautiful animals.
Yeah,
Austrian Alps.
Yes.
love it.
They have a great job too. That they were bred to do that's saving people who were falling and who are buried in avalanches
Right.
and
They would pull the
freezing and
sleds,
lost in the
right?
woods.
Pull the sleds.
Yeah, yeah. Although no, those are the Malamutes, right?
Okay.
The Saint Bernards. They can certainly pull sleds. They have the strength for that. But they are out there helping people get lost and get buried in snow, and that's been like their kind of to go mission for them. They
What do
really
you
are amazing dogs.
what dogs do you think in terms of the breeds have the most calm demeanor just by nature?
Calm demeanor.
Yeah.
Yeah, so calm, those Mastiff type breeds a lot are, and bulldogs can be very calm, but I almost associate that with kind of laziness a little bit.
I was going to say they are lazy
But they
dogs
generally
though.
are very calm dogs.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, as far as like dogs with demeanors like that are almost always friendly and nice. I'm not saying they're always calm, but a Labrador Retriever, those are the nicest dogs. Except for this one past Silver Lab I think I told you about on the last podcast that was vicious. I'd never seen an aggressive lab before. He was my first one.
Was that a rescue?
Yeah, she rescued him, but he's the silver color. They do some sort of weird thing to get it out of him, and some of them are known to be a little more aggressive than other labs, right? So I
I've
read
never
about this
seen a
after
silver
I
lab.
signed the dog up for training. I had never seen a silver. I'd never
I've
even
never
seen
seen a
one
silver
before.
lab. I don't even know they
There's just some,
existed.
they're doing genetic games to get stuff like that, and so that you can kind of mess with a dog's temperament when you're doing that. I think that's what happened to this dog. He was really scary, but
And
he
how long
stayed
did
with
it
me
take
for a
you to
month,
train
and
that
he is
dog?
doing fantastic.
How
He
long?
stayed with me for a month, which is a week longer than my average dog. That's a week longer than my average board and train, but he needed it. And he was so much better when I sent him home. I'm getting texts a lot
That's
from how good he's
awesome.
doing around the kids now. Yeah.
How old?
Makes me very happy and proud.
You
He
should
was
be
8
happy and
years
proud.
old.
How old?
Yeah. He was 8 years old when I started training
Wow.
him. Yeah, 8 years. Yeah.
That's really impressive to
Yeah.
have a
And
dog at
they're
that
never too
age.
old to be trained.
Really?
Yeah, I don't have any problem training older dogs. Obviously, that old saying about you can't teach an old dog new tricks is a dumb statement. But I think what people deal with sometimes is when a dog's had the same habit for a bunch of years, it can be hard to break. Right? It's not hard to teach them new things, but it can be hard to get rid of the same bad things they've been doing for a long time. So you have to teach the new things in order to be able to solve the old bad things. And that's what
Makes
it is. He
sense.
did great at 8 years old. He did amazing.
That's awesome. Of course they were happy, and of course they're texting you, and of course all your clients love you. We wouldn't expect nothing less, right, Daggy? I can't hear
Absolutely.
Dagmar.
I'm pretty sure they're grateful.
Yeah.
They're very grateful.
They're
Yes.
great.
We would like to take a moment to thank our sponsors. Cafe Bastille originated in Miami, now has a location in downtown Fort Lauderdale for almost 2 years. Located steps from Las Solas and sitting on the canal, I can personally say I frequent there often. Their lattes are wonderful, hot or cold. The velvet pancakes just melt in your mouth. The pommes frites are on point, and the bottomless mimosas for brunch all day long are absolutely fabulous. For more information, please go to cafebastiledowntown.com.
Grateful.
Yes.
I mean, if you have a misbehaved child or an addicted child or whatever, and you're just at the end of your answers and
That's
you
right.
you don't know what else to do. I mean, and I can see how Jeff can be a lifesaver, coming back to life quality, bringing life quality back into your family's life, into your own personal life.
Yes,
Absolutely.
for sure. I do love when the clients say that their lives improve just because they're able to communicate better. That's the best thing
That's awesome.
about being a dog trainer.
That's major because it's life changing for everybody in the house. Meanwhile, you know what I was just thinking about? That the next time we're all on the podcast together, not Dagmar and I, because we have other ones we're doing, obviously, before the trio, the three amigos get back together, it's probably going to be in the new year, which means that the year is coming to a close. Wow. But Jeff, what
Very
other
good.
little tips and tricks would you want to give our listeners and our reviewers for the holidays for dogs before we go?
So that's a great question. So I would talk about dog proofing, which is just making sure that anything that could be unsafe or cause issues is picked up and put away. You know, when you have younger dogs, it's very important you don't leave the shoes around for them to get, and then you don't leave things that could be dangerous for them to chew and eat. So dog proofing is just making sure everything's kind of straightened away. And then the preparation that I ask people to do is, you know, have people come in and out of your door before the holidays start to see how your dog's going to behave, work on your jumping, work on, by the way, asking people before they come in to greet your dog with the right energy. The things I ask them to avoid. I ask them not to stare at the dogs, not to hug them, not to reach out to them. You want the dog to greet the people on the dog's terms, and eye contact can be unnerving to
I
certain
think it's kind of
dogs who
creepy
are
to stare at a
uncomfortable with
dog,
every
actually.
new stranger.
Right. It's kind of creepy to like stare at a
Yeah,
dog.
people do.
He
They
comes
tend
in
to
and you're
stare
like,
right into a dog's eye.
no.
So
We
you're preparing by literally asking your guests to know what to do and how to react to the dog. I would say to people, please don't pet them or pet her until you hear me telling them they're doing good. Right. So if they're jumping or they're acting a little over exuberant, we would ignore them. And then as soon as there's 4 paws on the ground and the dog's acting more calmly, then we, good boy, good girl, we start petting them. And the dog's like, why would I act like that when I'm getting ignored, when I can act like this and get all sorts of love and affection? So that type of stuff. Yeah, the changes of routine, the travel, all the new people, all the new noises. These are stressful times for both people and dogs. So definitely work on your basic stuff, work on your sits and your stays. And I think on the last podcast, I talked about how much I love a place command, which would be an elevated dog bed, stay on your place, even when the people are coming in. You might need some professional help with that type of thing because it can be difficult when there's a lot of new distractions. But just being able to do those type of things would make a dog feel much more comfortable in the changes and all the new things that they have to experience around the holidays.
I love it.
How about
It's the
food
holiday
allergies or
season,
toxic
guys.
food?
We missed that. Say it again,
How
Dag.
about food allergies or toxic? How about food allergies or toxic foods for
It's like foods to
dogs
stay
when
away from during the
people
holidays.
secretly?
Right.
I know that from I was at Thanksgiving and holiday parties with especially elder ladies, and they
Yes.
like to take food from the plate and secretly feed the doggies.
Secretly, huh?
Secretly
I'm
feed
not
the
secret about
doggies,
it at all.
and then
I'm
if you
out
don't
with it.
Well, you don't want a dog getting any chocolate. You don't want them eating grapes. You know, you don't want any kind of spicy stuff with lots of seasonings. All of this can be very bad for a dog. So I actually teach people to work on their leave it command, which is if a piece were to fall on the floor and you say leave it, they don't go to it. We practice it all the time. You could see me, I could grab a steak, say leave it, put it on the ground, and my dog will not go near it.
better
It's a
safe
great
than
command.
sorry,
Hallelujah.
right?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Better safe than sorry.
Always better safe than sorry. Yes. And
And
I would
guys, don't
recommend
feed your
people don't
dogs
feed
any
dogs from the
alcohol
table.
during the holidays. No eggnog for the dogs, please.
Or
No,
beer.
no alcohol. No
Yeah,
alcohol.
no alcohol, no beer, no
That's
wine for
important.
the dogs. No. Nope. Awesome. Jeff, we appreciate you.
Yeah.
We love
And the
you. We
best
love
advice
having
I
you
have
on.
for anybody, and I was going to say, if I had just one piece of advice for everyone around the holidays, is just really observe your dogs. And when you see them doing any kind of good behavior, reward it instantaneously. And we do that with a mark, right? So you could be 50 feet away and you say, good boy. And then it might take you a minute to go over and reward them. But the mark, let them know why you're doing it. So any good behaviors you see, just make sure you reward it. And then next thing you know, your dog will be looking at you going, look how good I'm being. Don't you want to reward me? It's so effective.
That's beautiful. What's your last message for our listeners in regards to holidays and doggies?
Yes, enjoy the holidays, keep your dog safe, and always try to bring as much calm energy as you can to the party. They'll thank you for it.
To any party, with or without dogs.
That's right. With or without
Should be the
dogs, calm
tagline.
energy is great.
That should be the tagline. Bring all the calm energy to all the parties.
I like it. It's a good
Right?
one.
Yeah.
That's yours, Jeff. I won't
Thank you
steal
so
it.
much for coming on board. We always
Thank
Chloe
you
and
guys.
we always
I love coming on with you guys. I appreciate it.
having
We
you.
love you.
And I'll talk to
Stay
you
safe
tomorrow.
for the holiday season,
Have great
everybody.
We hear
holidays. Love
you.
you guys.
We see
All
Bring
right.
your
you.
dogs and the cats with the calm energy.
Happy
Bring
holidays.
the alcohol, but don't give it to them, and don't give them any steak, but
Yes.
maybe a little bite of ham.
Have a happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Oh, wait.
Just a quick note before we end. This conversation is for inspiration and empowerment only. It's not medical, mental health, or legal advice. We are not doctors, therapists, or lawyers. Just women sharing real stories and personal truth. Always seek professional guidance for your unique situation.